I would like to welcome you to the September 24th, 2024 meeting of the City Plan Commission. Before we begin, I will outline the procedure that we will follow for our public hearing. As each item is called, the applicant or his or her representative and persons for the request will be allowed to speak. Then people against the request will be allowed to speak. If there is opposition to a request, the applicant will be allowed to make a short rebuttal. All people wishing to speak, please come to the podium at the front of the room and please state your name and address for the record. All statements made should be relevant to the agenda item and be limited to 3 minutes. If there are several people that would like to speak in favor to a request, we encourage to allow 1 or 2 people to act as spokesperson for the group. If you'd like, a spokesperson can request that the group stand and be recognized. While public discourse is very important to the Commission, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all people may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from this meeting any people that are becoming boisterous or disrespectful during their comments. The Commission members have reviewed each of these items in a previous work session. The recommendations we make tonight to the City Council will be based on the work session and the information provided by staff, as well as any additional information presented tonight. After completing the hearing on each item, the Commission will consider an action on the item, and actions taken tonight on all items, excluding the plats, will be in the form of a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will also conduct public hearings on all items excluding plats. The public hearing for the request to rename a portion of 29th Street, which is Agenda Item 3, will be held on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, in the Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. Public hearings for all remaining cases will be held on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, in the Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of our August 27th, 2024 work session and business meetings. Are there any changes or additions? Seeing none, they stand approved as written. Our first item on our agenda tonight is in subdivisions, which is the final plat of Golson 35 edition. City staff, what is your recommendation?
Okay. Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, tonight we have 2 requests for subdivisions. We're going to act on them each separately and in order on the agenda. For agenda item 1, we will consider requests for final plat approval of the Golson 35 edition, lots 1 and 2, block 1, being a re-subdivision of the Golson 35 edition, lot 1, block 1. The property is located within the city of Waco and is generally located at the Golson-Herring intersection. Staff has reviewed the final plat and recommends approval with conditions of the final plat of Golson 35 edition, lots 1 and 2, block 1, subject to the conditions outlined in the final plat review letter as dated September 17, 2024, and revised on September 24, 2024.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on behalf of this item? Is there anybody present that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve with conditions based on staff findings.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Vickers. Please poll the commission.
Embry?
Yes.
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 Vickers? Yes. Cole?
Yes. For subdivision item 2, final plat of the lot 1, block 1, Lewis Orion edition, I believe we have 2 items on this.
Sir, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, first we will consider a request for the subdivision variance for the Lewis Orion plat, lot 1, block 1, and then we will act on the final plat for that same plat. Okay, so this is a public hearing to consider a request from the requirement to extend public water for the final plat of the Lot 1, Block 1, Lewis Orion Edition, located in the City of Waco's ETJ. Upon review and consideration of the request, staff does recommend approval of the variance from extending City of Waco public water based on the findings that extraordinary hardships or significant practical difficulties may result from strict compliance with the subdivision ordinance regulations, and that 1, that extraordinary hardships or significant practical difficulties result from strict compliance with the subdivision regulations, and the effect of the variance will not be detrimental to the public safety, health, welfare, or injurious to other property. The conditions upon which the variance is based upon are unique to the subdivision under consideration and are not generally applicable to other properties. Staff recommends approval of the subdivision variance with the following conditions. One, that there is documentation that the proposed means of water supply for this property is acceptable to Southern Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, McLennan County, City of Waco Utilities Department. Documentation needs to be received prior to plat recording. That is to verify that there is an adequate source of water for the property. Number two, a note on the plat must be added stating the property is located within the City of Waco CCN number 10039. However, lots are not served by a public water source. And number three, further subdivision of the lot that increases the number of lots will require the extension of the public water main to serve the new subdivision.
Thank you. Is the applicant or a representative here to speak on behalf of this item? Please just state your name and address for the record. Thanks.
Do you want the address of the lot, or do you want our...
Just your
our
address is great.
Chris and Jennifer Lewis, 429 Elmwood Drive, Waco, Texas.
Thanks.
Thank you for the motion to approve the variance. We are hoping to approve the variance without condition number one. It says written documentation from the water supply company of the Southern Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, the McLennan County, and the City of Waco. We just feel that the City of Waco is the deciding factor. And depending on which route we decide to go with, we feel that it is the City of Waco, y'all's recommendation, as opposed to going through other avenues that at the end of the day, it's final decision made by the City of Waco. Any
Are there any questions?
Short and sweet.
Great, thank you.
Oh, do we need to say anything? I didn't know if there was any questions.
I don't think right now.
Just to be clear, you're opposed to the condition of providing the documentation about this CCN, is that what you said?
Well, if you go to the McLennan County engineer reviewer, Zane Dunham, he had put some arbitrary language in his of likely have to become a road or forced to drill a well. I don't believe that his mindset is going to be open to other avenues for water source. That's why we would like for the City of Waco alone to make the decision.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, as we discussed in our work session tonight, the purview of the Plan Commission is to look at the extension of the City of Waco's water to this property, not necessarily how water is provided to the property. So I would be agreeable to that condition.
So striking a condition.
Yes.
Which one? Number
one.
Number one. All right. So the request has changed, or the request is the same, it's just with conditions 2 and 3 only.
Yes.
And you're okay with that?
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, hearing none, we will entertain a motion for the subdivision variance.
We don't have any legal issues, Laura?
We clear, Will? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the variance for item 2, final plat, lot 1, excluding the first, but including the second and third conditions.
Well done. I'll second Mr. Vickers.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Vickers and a second by Mr. Embry. Please poll the commission.
Embry?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
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 Salami?
Yes.
Yes.
Vickers? Yes. Cole?
Now on the same item, but to review the final plat, what is city staff's recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a public hearing to consider approval of the final plat of Lot 1, Block 1, Lewis Orion Edition. Upon review and consideration of the request, staff recommends approval with conditions of the final plat of the Lot 1, Block 1, Lewis Orion Edition, subject to the conditions outlined in the final plat review letter as dated September 19th, 2024, and I would add minus the condition number 1.
Thanks. Would the applicant like to say anything else on behalf of this item? Okay, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion on the final plat.
I move that we approve with the conditions, including the removal of condition number 1 from the previous item, from the letter dated September 19, 2024.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Givens. Please poll the commission.
Embry,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
Solano,
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, moving on to a street renaming item, ST 24-1. What is city staff's recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request by the City of Waco and the Hispanic Heritage Task Force to consider changing the street name of a portion of South 29th Street, the old name, to Ernesto Fraga Street, the new name, between Clay Avenue and Dutton Avenue. This proposal is submitted by the Hispanic Heritage Task Force established by the City of Waco to provide recommendations for the naming of the streets and new park facilities adjacent to the Floyd Casey redevelopment, reflecting the heritage and contributions of the Hispanic community in Waco, thereby honoring the legacy and achievements of Hispanic individuals who have significantly shaped Waco's history and culture. Planning Services mailed out 71 notices and had 0 returned. Staff recommends approval of the request. And I would also like to note that this item would actually move forward to the October 1st City Council agenda. That's what we have it advertised as.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Please just state your name and home address for the record.
Jeanette Bell, 228 Spring Street, Waco, Texas, 76704.
Thank you.
I'm the president of the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association. I'm also a Historic Landmark Preservation Commissioner. And I am a proponent of this project because it protects and preserves the cultural history and heritage of the Hispanics community. And it promotes a sense of identity and belonging and helps individuals and communities understand their roots and share values. Additionally, heritage sites and cultural practices can boost visitation, tourism, and the local economies. It also will promote a sense of unity, a sense of community, a sense of family, neighborhood, community, civic engagement, and it will be a legacy for future generations. And we can learn and appreciate each other's histories and heritage. That little street sign right there will be a learning tool, in other words. And it will promote cultural pride, respect, and dignity. So I am a proponent. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else present like to speak on behalf of this item? Please just state your name and address for the record.
Ernesto Fraga, 1404 Brighton Circle, Woodway, Texas, 76712. On behalf of my father and our family, it is a privilege to extend his appreciation for this extraordinary tribute. Congestive heart failure and several strokes have left him unable to speak without difficulty. Year after year, he was invited to speak to students at many of the schools, encouraging them to achieve and represent themselves proudly. He became a historical figure by continually working to uplift the families of Waco. Through Tiempo newspaper, Spanish-English newspaper, he promoted Hispanic businesses and organizations for 36 years. He gave of his time representing Hispanics on boards and commissions. Beyond that, he was an activist who fought for political and civil rights. He liked to say that everyone, but also Mexican Americans, always make the front page news of Tiempo. He published the Spanish and English newspaper weekly beginning in May 1982 until he had a heart attack in July of 2018. Ernesto Fraga recognizes countless individuals, families, and organizations that made Tiempo newspaper and all of his efforts possible over the years. And for that, I just want to say gracias and thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Is anyone present that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and as part of the task force that came up with this recommendation, we'll invite Ms. Lozano to make a motion.
Thank you. It's my first motion, so. I motion we change the street name of a portion of South 29th Street to Ernesto Fraga Street between Clay Avenue and Denton Avenue.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Lozano and a second by Mr. Smith. Please poll the commission.
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
Salome,
Yes.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes. Moving to zoning applications, item Z-24-43, what is city staff's recommendation?
Commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Brett Moore of Magnolia Business Ventures on behalf of D&E Castle Holdings LLC for a special permit for a house museum in an R1B district for property located at 3300 Austin Avenue. Planning Services mailed out 22 notices and had 2 returned in favor at the time of the request at the time of the report preparation. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the following findings. 1, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. 4, that available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Please just state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Austin England. I'm the president of the Austin Avenue Neighborhood Association. I live at 2016 Oriental, Waco, Texas, 76710. We reached an agreement with Magnolia, with Mr. Moore, to limit the scope of this permit, and we asked that it be limited to 12 months. In fact, I sent him this proposal the other day. He wrote back and had no opposition to it. That the permit be limited to 12 months, that Magnolia observe the hours that it observed in the past, which was from 9 to 5 on on Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and from 9 to 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those are the hours that they've observed in the past. We would also ask that Magnolia, for a stipulation, I guess, that Magnolia inform the Castle tour participants that they shouldn't encroach on adjoining neighbors' yards. And likewise with parking, we ask that they require their tour participants to park in the parking lot that's directly behind the castle. There's plenty of parking back there. And just as an anecdote, just the other day, I was driving to work and there was a big old tour bus coming through and people were just out all over the place, walking all over the yards. And I mean, it was pretty obnoxious. So we'd like to make sure that all the parking goes into the parking behind their lot. Those are the only oppositions that we have. Otherwise, we're in favor of the permit as long as it's limited in the way that I expressed. Does anybody have any questions?
City staff, just to confirm, those stipulations are all within the special permit, correct?
Yes, sir. We actually considered it not an opposition because all of the things that you listed were already in our recommendation, so they were already included in there.
All right, very good.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Before a motion, one quick question for city staff. We talked about this in the work session. You know, Magnolia doesn't control the tour buses exactly, so is there a mechanism to have them communicate with the tours that come through? I know that if the neighborhood associations has a concern there, but Magnolia may not have control of that, what's the solution there?
Yes, we have discussed that. As far as the tour buses that are coming from a separate entity and just touring Waco, that would be separate from the special permit.
Right.
If they are tour buses that are bringing people there from their other sites tied to Magnolia, then absolutely, that would fall under the conditions within this request.
So separate and apart from the special permit, does the neighborhood association or any of the neighbors have any sort of, not even recourse, but a solution for outside tours? Again, not associated with the special permit, but if there's a complaint there, do they know who they can reach out to at the city to address those issues?
Separate from this permit, I can forward that on to our various departments that may have more say in that public street right away.
Perfect. That's my only question. Otherwise, I will move to recommend approval based on staff findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Ingram. Please poll the commission.
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I think,
I have an interest, so I have to abstain.
okay.
We didn't read her name because she filled out the CSI.
Moving to item Z-24-44, what is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing and a request from Ryan Tustin and Eunice Montilla on behalf of LaSalle Storage LLC for a special permit for auto storage in an M2 district for property located 1301 LaSalle Avenue. Planning Services mailed out 56 notices and had 0 returned at the time of the report preparation. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the following findings. 1, Planning Services that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purpose and intent of Chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to the neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. 4, that the available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Vickers, a second by Mr. Smith. Please poll the commission.
Embry? Yes. Givens? Yes. Ingram?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. Item Z-24-45, what is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on request from Alexander and Mackenzie Kidd on, for a special permit for short-term rental type 1 in an R1B zoning district for property located at 3405 Cumberland Avenue. Planning Services mailed out 29 notices, had 0 returned at the time of report preparation. There was one that was returned that we had afterwards that was for no comment. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the following findings. 1, the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. 4, that the available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to the proposed use are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28.122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Move that we approve based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. Vickers. Please poll the commission.
Embry?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. For item Z-24-46, what is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Jerry Dyer on behalf of Celium LLC on a rezone request from R1B to R3C for approximately 1.46 acres of land described as lots 1 and 3, block 1 of the Nettie's Field addition being a re-subdivision of all the called 2.321 acres described in a deed to Celium LLC as recorded under instrument number 2022030930 of the official public records of Clinton County, Texas. Property IDs 413142 and 413144. Planning Services mailed out 27 notices and had 0 returned. Planning Services recommends approval of the request to change the zoning from R1B to R3C based on the findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the R3C zoning district. 3, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the R3C zoning district. And 4, there's existing multifamily zoning adjacent to those subject properties.
Is there anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Please just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jerry Dyer. I live at 2825 Mount Carmel, Waco, Texas 76710. And we are requesting a zone change because we have a potential buyer who is in preliminary discussions with Waco Housing Authority to do a partnership of sorts to provide some much needed affordable housing in the area. Waco Housing owns quite a bit of stuff right there. It's a very nice, well-kept project, and it wouldn't be totally low income. It would be affordable though. So we're asking for the ability to change it to more of a multifamily, to put multiple duplexes on the site, and then that'll help keep the acquisition cost per unit lower so that we can then keep our rents lower as we go forward with it. So I appreciate you guys for hearing our request. Any questions?
Just one, have you been able to contact the property owner that's in between the two lots?
I believe the buyer has talked with them and they are on board with it.
Okay. And they know the plans that y'all have with the duplexes and all that as
Yes,
far
I
as you know?
believe so. Yes, I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, any other questions?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition to this item?
Hello, my name is Natoya Alexander. My address is 2612 South 15th Street. Good evening, members of the City Plan Commission. My name is Natoya Alexander. I am both a resident of this community and a local real estate agent with Keller Williams. I'm here to express my concerns about the proposed rezoning of our neighborhood to the R3 multifamily. As someone who's lived in this area most of my life with deep family roots in the area, I feel strongly about preserving the character and integrity of this community. Currently, we are already surrounded by multifamily units such as Costa Esmeralda and South Terrace. These developments have brought challenges, especially during holidays like 4th of July and New Year's. The commotion from gunshots, racing cars, and constant police presence is something we already face. Adding more multifamily units would only exacerbate these problems. Our community needs peace, not more disturbances. From a real estate perspective, multifamily developments can negatively affect property values, deterring potential buyers who are looking for stability in their neighborhood. As someone who has worked in real estate for 6 years, I've seen firsthand how multifamily units can reduce the appeal of single-family homes nearby. While this may not concern investors, it's a major concern for those of us who live and work here and care about long-term value of our community. I love the idea of new construction, but we need development that strengthens the neighborhood and attracts homeowners who are invested in the area. We already see the benefits of new homes being built, which increase property values and gives residents pride in where they live. Affordable single-family homes would offer an opportunity for more people to lay down roots here in South Waco. My family has been a part of the community for generations. My father lives just a few blocks away, and my grandmother is around the corner. This neighborhood means everything to us, and I don't want to see it deteriorate by bringing in more renters who don't have a stake in this future. The older residents here deserve to live out their days in a place that feels safe and familiar without the chaos that can come with multifamily complexes. Mr. Dyer, I urge you to reconsider the plans for this area. Let's preserve the integrity of this neighborhood for the families who call it home. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Looking at a map of an overhead map of the neighborhood right here, how close are the existing multifamily units to where these lots are?
Where that lot is, right on the other side. So you got the home in the middle, and on the side of it, that's gonna be South Terrace down on that end. And then on the opposite end of the street, where Gurley is, you got Costa Esmeralda, which is an apartment complex. We already get quite a bit of riffraff from those two communities. But that little center nook right there, it is an older community that has been there a while, and it's private. I mean, I live there personally. I've been there since 2019. I sold the house across the street to a cute little family, first-time home buyers. I know the older lady next to me and across the street. I know this community. So yes, we can, as I'm an investor myself. I had a piece of land on Ewing, which is right around the corner. I sold that property earlier this year, but I wanted to make sure that it was gonna be a property, a home. We're looking to bring in more single-family homes so that we can get, more affordable housing in that area. I'm all for bringing it up and bringing up the property value, but I don't know that multifamily is the way to do it.
Do you know if your neighborhood association has had a chance to discuss this at all?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that there is really any type of association. I see them, the only person here, and based off of what you received in the mail, I'm not even sure that the community even understands what's happening, if I'm just being honest. But obviously I'm speaking from a resident standpoint and also a realtor. I understand both sides. So I feel like it is my job to advocate for the neighborhood.
Okay, if no further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Would the applicant like to make a short rebuttal?
So in our initial conversations with the Waco Housing Authority, the one condition that they were willing to go forward on to continued talks was something very not dense. I think that's what the zoning request was for, was something not dense. So the idea that it's going to be a multifamily complex is that's not going to be the case. Now, from a development point of view, when you have a piece of property that's $85,000, that's the asking price for this. The only way it makes sense is to go more dense than a single family property there. The numbers just don't make sense. So when you're doing that, then you have the infrastructure cost on the developer, which is the cost of the roads, the utilities. The acquisition cost of the piece of property that we're looking at right now is $85,000. So when you put the road in, the utilities in, that takes that acquisition cost to probably somewhere around $175,000 to $200,000. The only way to make those numbers work is to do something more dense. If it was just a single family lot of $85,000 in that neighborhood, we're going to top out on a sales price of a house of about $250,000, maybe $1,000. If you have $85,000 on your lot cost, plus the impact fees from the city, by the time you're into it, you got $100,000 for that lot. One single family residence, those numbers just don't make sense. I understand the, wanting to make it so if we have issues with going multifamily per se, if there's some way that we could look into maybe I know that other areas have the overlay where the tiny lots come into play. If that's something that's doable in this, I think that's something we could look at as well. So just thoughts and kind of from a developer's point of view, what we're looking at.
Any questions for the applicant?
Right, thank y'all.
So question for the city. So a suggestion about tiny lots, is that something that could be considered?
I don't think that this property falls in what's the Imagine Waco overlay, which would permit a smaller lot. Yeah, not for this one.
And then for clarification, what's the density difference right now between R1B, how it's zoned, and then R3C? I mean, how big of a difference are we talking as far as allowable density?
So I'm trying to remember the one off the top of my head. I think it's 6 units an acre for R1B. 25 units for R3C. But again, these are, I forget the acreage, but I mean, it's,
Yes, I'm trying to do math in my head here to see what our numbers are as far as what could be put on it right now versus how dense it could go with the zoning change.
Total between the two properties is 1.468 acres.
So call it 1.5 just for easy math purposes. And we said it's at 6 units an acre for R1B. So that'd be basically 9 multifamily units on 1.5 acres. And what is it again for R3C?
25 units an acre.
Yeah, sorry, 37. I mean, so it's a substantial jump in density, obviously. Okay. Sorry, can I ask the applicant one more question? Is that okay? We haven't closed the public hearing, right?
Well, I do have a quick question. In terms of, the units and the density in terms of the units and density there, we were talking about a couple locations that have, do we know the total number of units that are in that area? On Gurley with that development and the other development that's multi-unit housing? Do we know the total numbers that we're talking about in this neighborhood? Okay. Okay.
Your question, he's up.
Yeah. Just asking for, again, we have to consider the total number of allowable units when we're looking at a rezone, but I'm curious for y'all's project, if you're okay sharing, you were sharing the numbers to kind of make the project feasible. What's sort of your number of units in your mind for your project?
For the amount of land that we have to use for road, detention, and then we have to adhere to setbacks as well. It looked like real rough. We were shooting for 7 duplexes on the one lot. And then on the other lot, I think we were shooting for 3. So we were, between the two, we were at a total of 20 units.
Okay. Thank you.
And from a financial point of view, that's where the numbers kind of start making sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And sorry, in R1B, it was how many units per acre?
6 units an acre.
9.
So it's going from 9 currently allowable units to 20.
36.
36 allowed.
36
but
total, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess we have to consider the total allowable units, not just the proposed project when we're doing the rezoning. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking out loud for discussion purposes. I certainly understand kind of both sides of the coin here.
But another perspective is that under the current designation, multifamily is already allowed. Lower density, of course, but we're not moving from single family only to multifamily. We're moving from low density to moderate density, for lack of a better analogy. So multifamily is already allowable in the current construct. So you could still do a lower density. Point being, we're really looking at how dense, not whether multifamily is an acceptable use. So I think it's important to distinguish in our decision today those two pieces as well.
Is that a correct interpretation?
The land use plan allows multifamily uses in the proposed designation. The property currently is R1B, which only allows single family.
Wait.
But the surrounding property in the back is R3E, I believe, which is an even higher density than what is being proposed. So what they're proposing is more of a step from what is behind the property. Mark, if you want to.
To clarify, is R1B can only be single family. There's no smaller multifamily use in R1B. It is strictly single family.
Okay.
I think I was following with you on the land use.
Yeah, land use, that makes sense. I was thinking land use.
Yeah.
Got it. Land use, not zoning. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, so that's a big jump.
Okay, hearing no more discussion, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the motion per city staff recommendation.
I'm going to second the motion with a kind of point, or I guess let's vote, then I can make the point afterwards. So I'll second the motion.
There's room for comments after the second, right?
Now would be the time for discussion now that we have a second.
Okay, it's not necessarily a discussion point, just more kind of my rationale behind seconding.
That's fair.
I do, one, tend to lean towards the city staff recommendation for meeting all the baseline kind of requirements, but I would point out that, one, this will go to city council in a month, and if the neighborhood does have, or if more of your neighbors do have objections to the change here, I would recommend working with the developer between now and then certainly voicing any other concerns that come up at the city council meeting next month, if there are concerns from other neighbors. So with that said, I will second the motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please poll the commission.
Givens?
Yes.
Lozano?
No.
Salome?
No.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. So that motion carries
Passes.
4-3.
4-3.
And I'll follow up that comment as the city council meeting is on October 15th. So if the neighborhood has more comments, please get in touch with your local city council representative of that district, as well as be at the city council meeting to voice your concerns.
Yeah. And if no one received those notices, also let us know. We obviously do notice these issues so that people can speak, and if people aren't getting those notices, then we definitely need to know.
Okay, we will move on to item Z-24-47. What is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Wyatt Falconberry on behalf of Next Level Investments of Central Texas LLC for a rezone request from M2 to C2 for property described as lots 7 through 14, Block N of the Grand Boulevard addition to the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat recorded in volume 275, page 256 of the McLennan County deed records, known as 2221 LaSalle Avenue, Waco, Texas 76706, and Lot 4, Block J of the Grand Boulevard addition to the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat recorded in volume 275, page 256 of the McLennan County deed records, known as 2216 Griffin Avenue, and Lot 5, Block J of the Grand Boulevard addition, city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat recorded in volume 275, page 256 of the McLennan County deed records, known as 2107 Griffin Avenue, Waco, Texas 76706, a 0.188 acre portion of Lot 6 and 7 and Block J of Grand Boulevard addition to the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat recorded in volume 275, page 256, McLennan County deed records, conveyed to Bill Raymer as described in a deed recorded in instrument number 20120311051, official public records, McLennan County, Texas, known as 2110 South 23rd Street. Planning Services mailed out 23 notices and had 0 returned at the time for report preparation. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the zoning from M2 to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the LaSalle Avenue Economic Development Strategy Plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all size and width requirements for C2 zoning. 4, there is C2 zoning adjacent to the subject properties. 5, C2 zoning is consistent with the transition occurring along LaSalle Avenue from industrial uses to commercial uses.
Thank you. Is anyone present to speak on behalf of this item?
I prefer not to speak unless there's some opposition, though.
Okay. Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend approval of the zoning change based on staff findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Embry, a second by Mr. Ingram. Please poll the commission.
Embry?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Abstain.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. For item Z-24-48, what is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from the city of Waco and Kermit Ward for a rezone request from C2 and R1B to R2 for property described as lots 8 and 9C, Block 4, the Parkview Edition, known as 3201 North 15th Street, and lots A9 and B9, Block 4, the Parkview Edition, known as 1521 Bryan Avenue, Waco, Texas. Property IDs 185092 and 185093. Planning Services mailed out 40 notices and had 0 return at the time of report preparation. Planning Services recommends approval of the request to change the zoning from C2 and R1B to R2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the property meets all area and width requirements for the R2 zoning district. 3, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for use allowed in the R2 zoning district. 4, there is R2 zoning in the vicinity of the subject property.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
We would recommend approval based on staff findings.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Mr. Vickers. Please poll the commission.
Yes.
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 Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes. And moving to our last agenda item, which is in abandonments, ABD-24-8. What is city staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request by Dominique Bolts for the abandonment of approximately 0.19 acres, being a portion of the Hillsborough Drive right-of-way adjacent to 200 Hillsborough Drive and located at the northeast corner of the Hillsborough Drive and Rennick Street intersection. The requested area to be abandoned is currently undeveloped. Planning Services mailed out 18 notices and had 0 comments returned. Upon review of the request, Planning Services recommends approval of the easement or the right-of-way abandonment upon the findings that public use of the right-of-way is not required for the proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. Utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of this right-of-way, and that there will be no adverse impact to the surrounding street system. Staff recommends approval of the abandonment request with the following conditions. Number 1, a 20-foot wide drainage easement shall be retained for the 60-inch storm drain located within the abandonment. A minimum of 10 feet of width shall remain between the existing curb line and a proposed property line to ensure a 6-foot wide sidewalk and a 4-foot wide buffer. Rennick Street shall have a 50-foot right-of-way or 25 feet from the center. An additional easement shall be retained for any utility lines located during development of the abandonment area, or lines can be relocated at developer's expense. Coordinate with the appropriate utility.
Is anyone present that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Sorry, are you speaking on behalf? Perfect. Please just state your name and address one more time for the record. Thanks.
Jeanette Bell, 228 Spring Street, Waco, Texas, 76704. I am the president of the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association, and we are in favor of ABD 24-08 on behalf of Dominique Bolts. Most of the reviews conducted have been reported as being satisfactory. There will be no obstructions to the right-of-way. It won't affect any kind of traffic. Furthermore, the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association, we advocate for business development, retention, and expansion. So, we are in much favor of this abandonment. We see no problem with it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
We recommend approval based on staff findings.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Givens. Please poll the commission.
Embry?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Cole?
Seeing as that's the last item, that will conclude our Plan Commission meeting for tonight. We're adjourned.
Need a gavel so you can just